Again, measurement, we have quite a few tools to measure social media monitoring and in terms of analytics. And we have a number of internal platforms developed by the Ogilvy group and used by pretty much every agency inside the group. What we're doing is offering some password protected, let's say, online platforms for clients who would like to use them for content that's only for private, exclusive use, whatever you want to call it. For example, we have a platform named Insider Circle that we're currently using for one of our clients, Volvo. And how we're using it is, well, Volvo wants to develop a sort of awareness of their electric vehicle that they're kind of trying to promote at the moment, because they haven't actually put together a car that they can show, but they're trying to do that. So therefore this is the first step, and we contacted for them top 10 influencers in 4 countries at the moment, and we're trying to offer them exclusive content regarding the evolution of the electric vehicle from Volvo to them that they can use on their blogs and so on. But it's just the idea of exclusivity that they're trying to sell to the influencers, if that makes sense to you, and I hope it does.
Daniela, can you just talk more briefly about measurement? Like, what kind of measurement tools that you use?
Measurement tools. Well, basically we're dealing with social media monitoring rather than SEO, analytics and so on, because we're kind of specialized in that. But I actually have a few slides later on about this, so I'm going to try and go through that. So I'm going to basically focus on the programs and the social media services that we're offering in just briefly. This is how our planning framework looks like, and you have like 5 steps. I'm going to try to take you through the entire process from the very beginning until the end. So you have a client coming to you and telling you that, well, we would like to develop a new strategy because we weren't happy, let's say, with the previous agency, and if you can recommend us something and see if we can work together or not. Or maybe they don't have in place at this point a social media strategy, so they would like to develop something like that. They don't know exactly how to do it, what to do, they don't know
so
what's the benefit.
From zero.
Exactly, from zero. So there are different clients coming with different requests. The first step would be the listening step, when you have to go back and do some sort of secondary research in terms of social media monitoring. You have to see what people are saying online about your company, about your area of focus, your industry, and about competitors. And you have to be able to come up with some sort of insights based on that, and recommendations that would actually be helpful to your client and make him understand that he actually needs that sort of social media planning and strategy in place. Well,
Daniela,
after that,
how long does it last, this secondary data selection? Of course, it's based on the case, but based on your experience, how long does it last? Is it a week? Is it a month? Is it a year? What is the time frame?
A few days, basically.
A few days.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can be like 2 or 3 days, and that's all. You have to come up with something really fast, because usually clients are not very flexible and they want everything as fast as possible. They usually consider that they are your only client. They don't exactly care about the rest, obviously. Once you agree with the client that the types of insights and recommendations that you come up with are actually helpful for them, and they want to move on and they want to collaborate with you, you go to the second step, the planning step, where you develop some sort of proposal, strategy of how to do things and when to do them and what platforms to use and what content you need, or if you need an event that you should promote further on online, or how you're going to do it, basically. And at this step you need to choose if you're going to use, well, we call them, but this is kind of an internal type of language, so I'm going to try to explain it. Social influencer relationship management, which refers to online influencers, let's say online bloggers that have very high reach, that have a large number of visitors as well, comments and so on. You need to go through another step of research, of course, and try to find out who are the highest influencers in that industry and try to target those. And the second, the social grassroots, refer to peer influence, and basically creating some sort of buzz through social networks rather than online blogs. And once you agree, of course, with the client, you have to activate that. And it's the step where you outreach, let's say, to those influencers in case you've chosen the first option. And by outreaching to them, basically, you kind of do a type of PR. Probably that's why we're sitting Ogilvy PR rather than any other agency. So you have to contact them and you have to sell the story, or you have to sell whatever, some sort of interesting or exclusive story that you have, or not necessarily a story, if it's an event or anything like that, whatever you want to achieve.
Daniela, there was a question.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I was just wondering, when you consult with your clients, like for the first time, do you like advise against getting engaged with social media just for the sake of being out there?
Yes, of course. I mean, yeah, it's a very fair question. If after we do our research and monitoring, we realize that they shouldn't necessarily be, you don't have to associate, first of all, social media with social networks, because most people do that, and our clients as well. If they want social media, they're gonna probably think that you just set up a profile on Facebook and Twitter and that's all. And it's not like that. We might advise them against being on Facebook if we think that's not relevant and useful for them at this point at least, and try to come up with a strategy that refers to outreaching to those top influencers that I was talking about. But that would mean creating an event, for example, and trying to promote that, and through that trying to create the online buzz that they're actually looking for. Also, we had clients coming to us and telling us that we want to create some sort of viral videos. Okay, what they don't understand is that you can create a video, that's fine, but in order to make it viral, it kind of takes a lot of work and strategy and planning, and you have to use that in plan, not necessarily just create a video, put it somewhere on YouTube, and everyone will just show up and share that and become viral automatically. It's just this wrong conception.
Question. You were talking about outreach to influencers. Do you have for example, in the States, maybe 6 months ago or a year ago, they passed legislation that if you're a spokesperson, including bloggers, and if you accept anything, even if it's a free product, you have to disclose it.
Yes.
Do you have this in the UK?
We don't have this law as far as I know, but we are not allowed, as a company, we have this policy of not offering free things. At least not something that's very significant, let's say, or not paying them, because I know that in the States they had, like 1 or 2 years ago, they were kind of paying online influencers as well, and they were advocating this on their blogs that we need to live on something, and therefore you have to pay us if you want this kind of advertising on the website. But no, we're just trying to sell the story without anything that's very big, let's say, and free.
And how do you select the bloggers? I mean, I'm sure it's more than just this person has 1 million Twitter followers.
No, it's not just about that. It depends on how relevant that is for the subject, basically, or what we're trying to do. So it would involve some sort of social media monitoring. For example, we're using Radiant 6 as a tool, but that's a paid tool. We can always use Google tools as well, Google Trends, Google Insights, and so on, that are very useful from my point of view. And there is some sort of desk research. You have to go through their blogs and see if they posted something in the last 2 weeks, let's say, or if they have any comments, what number of comments they have on their specific posts. So what's the type of engagement that you can find there.
Can you tell them real quick what Radiant 6 is?
Yeah, Radiant 6, I'm going to have again a few slides about that later on, but it's a social media monitoring tool that basically, based on keywords, allows you to find mentions from a very, like over 1 million probably number of websites, and it goes back to 1 year if you want, but as far as I know, not more than that. And it's free if you use it only for 7 days. After 7 days, it's like a 7-day free trial and so on. So it's good, but it's not probably the best from what I've seen.
So
but
why do you use this one and not others like Centimetrics or other tools?
Compared to Centimetrics, it's much better, basically. That's the answer. I mean, you can find the number of mentions, and you can access the exact mentions, and you can have automatic charts. We're not trying to find out about sentiment, because that's a bit tricky from my point of view, and I wouldn't do that unless I read most of the mentions before. We're trying to see share of voice through number of mentions. Let's say competitors have some sort of number of mentions, and this company that I'm actually, my client that I'm working with, has a smaller share of voice, so a smaller number of mentions. And I'm trying to come up with an insight based on that and a recommendation of what they should do. Also, we have this process of social media properties, an audit of social media property that they have at the moment compared to competitors, and see what they're actually doing, if it's good or bad, and so on. So that would go under that step as well.
So did you guys catch that? And I think that's an important point. It's the share of voice concept. So, you know, sometimes you have people, like one of our guest speakers said, oh, I want 10,000 friends on Facebook, right? So sometimes it's, a lot of times it's not about the numbers, but you're trying to see the conversation that's going on, and what part of that is your company capturing.
So quality, in other words.
Yeah, it's not about quantity indeed. And then activating, if it's an event and so on, you need to outreach, as I said. If you're trying to activate your plan through social grassroots, it's a little bit more complicated probably than through normal influencers, because you need to use social networks. You need to know what social networks you should use in terms of target audience and how to do it. For example, if you do it through Facebook, you have to kind of use Facebook advertising before, if you're creating a page from scratch, because that allows you, I'm not sure if any of you is familiar with Facebook advertising and their self-serve tool, how it works. It allows you basically to kind of narrow down the users from Facebook in terms of demographics, in terms of language they speak, university that they went to, so there are very, very specific details that you can choose. And that's why I was saying that activating that takes a bit longer, because you first need to create a community, you need to think of how to promote that, you need a conversation calendar to go on with that, and so on. So it takes time. It's a little bit more complicated than doing that. For example, if you want to use Facebook and at the same time Foursquare, if you have an event and you want to use the check-in thing with Foursquare, which is very popular at the moment, or Facebook Places as well, then you need to find a way to tie in those two and see if your target audience is actually using Foursquare or not. If it's better to use Facebook Places because it's easier for all Facebook users, and so on and so forth. There are many, many decisions that you need to make. In terms of amplifying, I already spoke about engagement advertising. That would be, for example, Facebook advertising. Social and partner syndication, talking to websites and trying to use them for syndication, and digital media relations in terms of, again, outreaching to influencers. And of course, you need to manage the project and come up with some sort of reports at the end of it, and try to demonstrate to your client that what you've done is actually useful to them, and try to show some results, which is a bit tricky in social media, because you don't have a tool, as you were saying, to measure sentiment or to measure the result in any way. For us, for example, we're trying to, if we're doing influencer outreach, we're trying to look for coverage, because that's the easiest way. And from coverage you can see the sentiment as well. I mean, if what they're writing is good, it's bad, and so on. Or on Facebook you have those analytics that allow you to see something. I mean, how many fans and so on, yes.
Are you using Facebook and YouTube Insights? Are they useful, or?
They are, but up to a certain point. I mean, they are useful because they can give you a general idea of what's happening on your page, if you're not aware yet, although you should. And it's something to be used for clients, because as a community manager, for example, of course you need to know what happens every day, every moment. You need to be aware of every comment that actually happens there. But if you're a client, you just need to get a general overview. So what happened? Do we have more fans, less fans? Did they actually click on this or on that, or what happened? Did they like this video more than the other one? Should we provide them with more content in terms of videos rather than photos? So many things that are around this.